In a time back in 1918, just like now, there was a sickness called the Spanish flu, and it was something that incorrectly was thought of as infectious. Some believe that it was influenza, some thought of it as a pneumonia. When the Spanish flu was at the peak, the American Army, together with the American Board of Health, did 30 different experiments to find a cause to this pandemic. Despite more and more aggressive attempts, they did not succeed in transferring infection from a person with symptoms to a healthy person. So what causes the Spanish flu? It turns out that all these symptoms, which were called the Spanish flu, were caused by different doses of experimental vaccines, like the meningitis vaccine. It caused people to get flu-like symptoms because the body tried to excrete the toxins from the syringes via the lungs and increased temperature. At the same time, a new pharmaceutical product had just hit the market. A product from the pharmaceutical company Bayer, namely aspirin. Aspirin was recommended by doctors and given in large doses to anyone with the slightest symptoms, from headaches to runny noses. It further poisoned people and gave them symptoms that fell under the umbrella of the Spanish flu. The pharmaceutical industry, sponsored by the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research, provided over 6 million soldiers as test subjects. Do you remember Rockefeller from the takeover of the medical studies, the one who bought the politicians to ban all natural treatment methods? The soldiers who were vaccinated with experimental liquid which was made in Rockefeller's laboratories. They gave them a series of 3 vaccines only 4 to 10 days apart. In the picture you can see the young soldiers doing a vaccine trial, among other against meningitis, and it's inflammatory of the meningitis in the brain. Not all soldiers were enthusiastic about participating in the experiments, but they were in the service of the state and had to do their duty. The massive intervention with additional different vaccines on the already weakened soldiers caused many to die, whereas those who were not vaccinated were not affected. Yes, in fact many more died from the syringes than on the battlefield on World War I. Approximately 565 Danish soldiers died in Allied war service, and around 15 to 18,000 Danish dies of the Spanish flu. The phenomenon of infection due to virus or bacteria has never been scientifically proven. The propaganda began. Fear. World War I ended and the soldier returned home. The propaganda had now created so much fear of contagion that people stood in long queues to get the jab, just like today, so that they were not infected by returning soldiers. How effective of the propaganda machine. Now you could get rid of many remaining vaccines and Rockefeller could make a lot of money from it. They used all the population as a research and development laboratory to test experimental vaccines. Millions of civilians died in the same way as the soldiers. Instead of stopping their vaccines, the doctors intensified the injections and called any symptom the Spanish flu. Masks help to deteriorate people's health due to little oxygen for the brain and too much carbon monoxide, which causes inflammation. Funny enough, masks have been used for centuries as a tool of silence and degradation. And you think now it's any different? The Nobel Prize winner Dr. Otto H. Warburg said that deprive a cell 35% of its oxygen for 48 hours and it will become cancerous. So let's establish this. The Spanish flu is caused by neither a virus nor a bacterium, but was caused by vaccines, aspirins, fear, and masks. Knowledge is power.